Hello and welcome to the Art Fisher podcast. I'm Reese Fisher.
And I'm Nolan.
Just Nolan, singular.
Nolan Fisher.
Oh.
That's Nolan Christ Fisher is my full name.
Oh, good. At least we have that figured out. Not Christopher Nolan. Nolan Christ Fisher.
Because I'm better than him.
Ah, gotcha. So today we're really excited to be talking with you about the favorite films of the 2010s. So basically 2010 to 2019 is sort of the cutoff here. So Nolan, if you want to quickly list all of the films on your end, then I will list the ones that I have.
Yeah, this is just a short list, so I'll just go for it. We've got The Wailing, The Lighthouse, Hereditary, The House That Jack Built, Midsummer, It Comes at Night, Mandy, Get Out, Parasite, The Florida Project, The Wind Rises, Ghost Story, Birdman, Shoplifters, Manchester by the Sea, Social Network, First Reformed, Nocturama, The Favorite, Roma, The Shape of Water, Inside Llewyn Davis, Silence, Lady Bird, The Hunt, Holy Motors, Melancholia, Climax, Spring Breakers, Under the Skin, Hypernormalization, Minding the Gap, 13th, Uncut Gems, I Saw the Devil, Wind River, Brawl in Cell Block 99, You Were Never Really Here, Burning, Hell or High Water, Prisoners, Sicario, Take Shelter, Drive, Arrival, Your Name, Inception, Embrace of the Serpent, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Revenant, The Nightingale, What We Do in the Shadows, The Wolf of Wall Street, Sorry to Bother You, and The World's End.
Nice short list.
It's just a couple.
Mine is shorter, so it's just a twig. But I tried to group mine by year, although you mentioned a bunch on there that I didn't actually write down, but I have seen. So Inception, The Social Network, Drive, Source Code, Life of Pi, Looper, Under the Skin, 12 Years a Slave, Prisoners, Whiplash, Edge of Tomorrow, Selma, Birdman, Nightcrawler, Grand Budapest Hotel, Mad Max Fury Road, Spotlight, The Revenant, The Wailing, Moonlight, Your Name, Hell or High Water, Arrival, Silence, A Ghost Story, Get Out, 3 Billboards Outside of Billings, Missouri, The Square, Lady Bird, Blade Runner 2049, Black Panther, Roma, The Favorite, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, The Lighthouse, The Irishman, Midsummer, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
I believe you've got one of those wrong. You said 3 Billboards Outside Billings, Missouri. I think it's actually Ebbings, Missouri.
Ebbings. Good call.
Got to be a stickler for the exact correct
No.
names.
I was typing that out just absentmindedly. I think I was doing Billings, like Billboard. Yeah, good call.
Well, there is also Billings, but
Montana.
Not in Missouri.
Yeah. That's fine. So the way we approached this was we wanted to go through some of our favorite movies from these years and just discuss them, and also sort of walk through and try to examine like why we like these movies, what threads there may be between them. But then in doing so, Nolan said that we haven't looked at each other's lists yet, but Nolan said that he chose movies that what did you say that are like 9 or 10s for you?
Yeah, just the way I usually record what I've seen just so it's all in one place is I use IMDb. So their system's obviously not perfect, but just vaguely anything from this time period I rated a 9 or a 10 I put on.
Okay. Yeah.
Which leaves out a number of ones you put on that I just didn't scroll down deep enough to go, oh, that would have been, I probably would have put that on, but...
Yeah, so I included ones that were, I would say also probably like 7s and 8s, just because I didn't realize he was doing 9s and 10s. But that will offer for even more conversation. Just wanted to sort of set the stage and get that out of the way. So Nolan also grouped his by genre, and I tried to put mine by year. So we're gonna go through that. Which genre would you like to start with?
Science fiction, comedy, and documentary are all the shortest ones I have. Do you have any documentaries on yours?
No, not that I see. I mean, I have seen documentaries, but none that I at least come to mind would put on here. But yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah, so that way I can just get these three movies sort of out of the way as recommendations, and then we can move on to stuff where we'll definitely have some overlap. So I have Hypernormalization, which is a British documentary by a director named Adam Curtis. So he makes these pretty long form, sort of kaleidoscopic documentaries that are really hypnotic. They have a really strong use of a lot of ambient noise and ambient sound that builds over time, and it mixes really well with just a lot of these like sort of cityscape shots. But the documentaries he makes, and this one specifically, are generally about worldwide problems and the issues with like Western culture, or sort of the downfall of Western culture. That's how I would describe Hypernormalization. It's kind of like a hypothesis on how we got to the place we got to in the 2010s based off of just like 50 years of historic record. So he puts together a bunch of old like BBC footage. It's really in depth. It's like 3 hours. Really interesting. Definitely recommend it. The next one is called Minding the Gap, which I think is like a Hulu documentary. I don't remember how I heard of it, but it's like a documentary about skateboarders. And it's a really good movie. Not what I was expecting it to be, because I'm not a skater and I don't really care about skating, but yeah, definitely recommend it. The other one is called The 13th, which is a documentary about the 13th Amendment vaguely, and how basically Jim Crow / slavery never ended and still exists now. Really powerful documentary. I think it might be a Netflix original. Don't remember exactly, but would recommend.
I would also like to say Interstellar just popped into my head. That was not on my list, but definitely needs a place on my list. Just when you said science fiction, yeah, I realized I had accidentally left that off.
Yeah, so let's jump to science fiction, because I think we have an overlap here. Actually, probably two. I didn't hear you say Arrival, but I think you did.
I did.
Yeah, so I have Arrival and Inception. And then the other one is one you actually recommended to me called Your Name.
Yeah, that is an animated movie that I actually saw when I was in Taiwan, which was super enjoyable. I really, really liked it. It was kind of a movie I went in with no expectations for, other than it was animated, and there's a certain theme or like experience that I look for when I want to see an animated movie. Obviously Miyazaki films are some of the best animated films I have seen. There are a ton of other animated films as well, but that movie is not like Miyazaki movies, but its story. Have you seen it, Nolan?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's one of the ones on this list of science fiction.
Oh, I thought you were saying I recommended it, but you hadn't seen it. Yeah,
you recommended it, and I have, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm based on our other conversations that people may have or may not have listened. You can probably tell we're not like super into romantic movies. But this movie has a nice sort of like twist to it, and the story is not just like, oh, Harry likes Sally, and Sally also kind of likes Harry, and stuff is like revealed through that, which can be really, really boring, at least for myself, but to each their own. But Yeah, it had.
Fuck When Harry Met Sally.
It's kind of this movie involves a lot of like time. So I guess you could tie that to Interstellar in some ways as well, like crossing time and I guess space, but not so much space in that movie.
It's actually the only reason Interstellar didn't make my list is because Your Name is essentially about the one line of dialogue that ruins Interstellar.
Got it. Got it. I think I know what you're talking about.
The Anne Hathaway staring straight at the camera with her big tear-filled eyes and going, "Love transcends space and time."
Right. That doesn't necessarily ruin it because I don't think everyone understood the movie. They had feelings but didn't get why.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it feels intentionally dumbed down.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I desperately need to see Solaris, but that's a different conversation. What was the other one that you said? Science fiction?
Inception and Arrival.
Yes, Arrival. I can't. That movie has a place in my heart. It always will. Another sort of love story, also talking about time, but it's just really, really emotionally impactful.
Yeah, basically replace space with language and you get the same thing.
Which is probably why I like it so much, given I took so many linguistic courses and am an English teacher. But Inception, I mean, what can we really say about Inception that hasn't been said
It
before?
has abysmally bad dialogue, just
Oops.
like Interstellar.
Oops. Sensing a commonality here with Christopher Nolan.
Some animosity towards Nolan's dialogue. Yeah, well.
Did you have source code?
I did not. No.
I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah,
I found that
movie.
I found that movie to be surprising. I just didn't really expect it to be as good as it was, given I guess the cast. It's Jake Gyllenhaal or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal and that lady from True Detective whose name always escapes me.
No, I don't have anything against Jake Gyllenhaal. But it's more so is Timberlake in that, or he was in the other one?
No, that's like Time's Out or
yeah,
something like that.
Time's Up, Me Too'd.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not
the one where
yeah.
time is literally money.
No, it's not that movie, but yeah, Source Code, great movie. I also have Edge of Tomorrow. I said I put on there that's an overlooked film. It was another sort of movie that it came out, I think, before Oblivion or after Oblivion.
Yeah. Source Code was like 2011, I think. Oblivion was 2013, and Edge of Tomorrow was early 2014. So they came out pretty close to the same time.
Yeah, but Edge of Tomorrow, the thing that's confusing for myself and probably others is it's Tom Cruise, and Oblivion is also Tom Cruise. Different plots, but
yeah, Oblivion's like slow-moving atmospheric science fiction where the ending kind of pulls the movie apart, whereas Edge of Tomorrow is like the opposite. It's like really schlocky, action-packed sci-fi.
But then
the
it's
ending,
surprising.
Like, pulls things together in an interesting way.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, if you hate Tom Cruise, you get to watch him die like 100 times.
Right.
I think applies to a lot of people for whatever reason.
A ghost story is not really science fiction, but kind of.
Yeah, I just put it under drama, but I do have that on here. It's a phenomenal little movie. Also, kind of about the same thing as what we're talking about here. It's it's just more about a meditation on like loneliness and loss and death, and then how time affects all of that in sort of a cyclical nature.
It has such a good take on being alone, but then it also is so emotional just with like images, which is so powerful. Like there's very, very little dialogue, and like if you watch a movie In a similar capacity to myself, it'll definitely affect you very emotionally. There were a few scenes that really hit me pretty hard.
I mean, it like it earns its own like slow moving pace by kind of making the impatient tap out of the movie early on, because there's that like 5 minute scene where she just eats a whole pie. There's just no dialogue. She just sits and eats an entire pie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I have a feeling that probably turned off half of the people watching them. It just immediately were like, okay, so this is just bad. This is bad because it's boring and pointless.
There's some part of my brain that is either a contrarian or just some rebellious thing that has stuck with me since being a teenager. But like anytime that happens in a movie, I think of all the people that hate that scene, and then I try to think, okay, but why would someone like this scene? Like, what's the point here? Like, why have a lady just eat the whole pie and nothing else happens? So, like, I guess I sort of recognize that most people would hate it, but then I try to ask myself, like, but why do they hate it? Why not try to figure out, instead of just writing it off and being like, oh, that's bad, nothing's happening. Okay, well, it's in a movie, and it's in a pretty good movie so far. So why is it there? Like, I just try to ask myself that.
Yeah, maybe it's because the movie is making a statement about time and space.
Right. It's almost as if it's a meta scene, despite it just being a woman eating pie.
No, if there's not an explosion, it just isn't good.
It's almost like context matters for a movie, and paying attention to every scene matters. Another one that you don't have on there that is probably is it just directly a science fiction, is Blade Runner 2049. But maybe you fall into the camp that it's more of just like a moving piece of art as opposed to a movie, like a good film.
Oh, I've liked all the ones you've mentioned so far. They're just not like my favorites.
I saw 2049 in a derelict Taiwanese theater with like really shitty sound, but still came out on the other side really enjoying it. Yeah.
I watched it in an American theater with 3 friends who all thought it was one of the worst movies they'd ever seen and openly mocked it from start to finish.
Christ. Oh God, I somehow didn't put Hereditary down. It slipped my mind. Yeah, I as I was leaving work, I meant to throw that on there, and it just slipped. Hereditary, I love that. Which genre are we jumping to now?
Oh, well, before we jump, I'll just say of science fiction, like, the reason I only have 3 movies on here, and, one of them's just an action movie, like, you wouldn't even, like, Inception's obviously science fiction, but it is action before it is kind of anything else, or like a heist. I think science fiction did kind of wallow this decade in a way it hasn't necessarily before, because it's a genre that's defined by, like, original thought. And so it's not that we haven't had a lot of, like, good original sci-fi for a while. It's just that most science fiction movies being made are all franchise movies.
What about Annihilation or Ex Machina?
That is one guy who is doing cool stuff, but we'll talk about Alex Garland at some point and how his stuff frustrates me endlessly.
Speaking of a frustrating director, there's also back to our favorite director, Rian Johnson.
Yeah, I heard you say Looper.
I enjoyed Looper the first time I saw it, but I don't know if you could rewatch that movie.
I've actually been meaning to rewatch it recently. I kind of do want to see it again.
I mean, I think it's his best movie, given the propensity for nonsense that he has in his movies. So where are we going now?
We could go to drama, which is where I just have a ton of movies listed.
Yeah, let's tackle drama. which is probably going to eat up most of them.
As for where to start here, so we already talked about A Ghost Story. I guess I'll mention the two. We'll talk about like the Oscar ones first. So these are movies that got like, they either won Best Picture or they were up for Best Picture. They were definitely like in the conversation year in, year out for Movie of the Year. So that would be like Parasite, Birdman, Manchester by the Sea, Social Network, The Favorite, Roma, Shape of Water, and Lady Bird. I don't know if any of those pique your interest or if you've seen all of those.
I've seen all of them except for Manchester by the Sea, which I've been meaning to watch for a while. I just have to find a time where I really just want to cry a lot, I guess.
Yeah, it is a devastating movie. I can't recommend it enough. Casey Affleck, may he rest in peace. He puts in a great performance in this movie.
Yeah, we'll probably get canceled just for talking about him, but whatever.
Well, he's dead now, so we don't need to worry about, offending him or anything. But to be clear, I think he is like I think he is maybe a bad person.
Yeah, no, it certainly seems like it. Those were just the movies that you have entirely in drama, or
no, those are the ones I broke them down as like being ones that
Oscar
got
right.
acclaim. Like the American critics were honed in on them. Like they were all, they got awards, they got buzz, people talked about them.
Did you say Spotlight?
I did not. No, Spotlight didn't make it on my list. I actually haven't seen Spotlight, so that is probably why.
Oh, you haven't?
Nope. Never watched it.
Gotcha.
I don't know why. I never, like, I get it. I just assume it's good. I assume when I watch it, I'll like it. I just haven't wanted to sit down and watch a bunch of great actors be like, holy shit, can you believe those priests?
Yeah. No, there are so many movies that fall into that category for myself. Any of those that I want to talk about, the one that I wanted to start with actually is The Favorite, just because I saw that movie in theaters, and it going back to that thing that I talked about, like with the pie eating thing, like that whole entire movie seems like something that most people would hate. And most people just have like a very visceral response to like, why did I just watch that? What did you do to me? Why did you make me watch that for 2 hours? And I loved it. Like I loved like almost every second of it. Her name is Olivia Colman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she's just an awesome actress. She does such a good job in that movie.
Yeah, great performance by all three of the leads in this movie. Coleman and Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
And then Nicholas Hoult, I think, is the other guy.
Yes.
Also puts in a good performance.
Yeah, he's the guy from Mad Max.
You mean X-Men?
Huh?
he's the blue guy. He's the blue man of the X-Men.
Okay.
Moving
nice.
Get past.
No, but The Favorite I wanted to start with just because most people probably wouldn't want to watch it, and I was super surprised that Olivia Colman won Best Actress in it. Just because I just didn't expect the Academy to recognize her in that very strange offbeat sort of movie.
No, critics and like the Oscars seem to understand the movie.
Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit.
I don't think audiences did. I think a lot of these movies were critical darlings that the Oscars, which is basically just the Hollywood elite, recognized as being great, but in general they were not commercially that successful. I think The Favorite was successful, but not like, majorly so.
Right. That makes sense. Was The Lighthouse on there?
Oh yeah, that's on my list. Also, I was wrong. The Favorite was a big hit at the box office. 15 million budget, 96 million take. So
damn.
Yeah, big hit for that one.
That came out over the winter, so
Mm-hmm.
that probably played a huge factor into it, but still.
Yeah, I mean, a few of these I listed did actually win Best Picture. Like Birdman did, Parasite did, Shape of Water did.
Oh my god, I didn't put Shape of Water. Yeah, another great one.
Shoplifters won Best Foreign Film. I don't know if I even mentioned that before. I don't remember if Roma won any Oscars.
Roma won Best Picture.
It did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my face when it won as well.
No, it didn't.
Oh?
No, it won Best Foreign Film.
What beat it?
For Best Picture?
2018?
That was Bohemian Rhapsody, I think. Or no, Bohemian Rhapsody didn't win. Green Book won. So Driving Miss Daisy Part 2.
I haven't seen that movie and I probably never will. But maybe
My
one day.
publicist told me to say no comment.
Your publicist did?
Yeah, said just no comment is best.
Got it. Yeah, the podcast may get canceled if we talk about that movie anymore. Birdman. Let's go to Birdman, because that is a movie that I need to see again. Like, I desperately do, because I think when I first saw it, I was way too, like, I was a kid in a candy store. I was just like, ooh, pretty colors. Wow, what a perfect shot. Oh my, Edward Norton is in this? Emma Stone is in this? What's happening?
It uses the, like, at first you think it's just going to be kind of a gimmicky meta movie about theater and artists and using the one shot take as like a, like why would it ever need to be one shot? But it uses that form really effectively, and it gets a great performance out of Michael Keaton, and also manages to have something to say about superhero movies.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that it like inverts so many gimmicks, but then also uses, like, not just inverting those gimmicks, but then using those gimmicks in new and profound ways that most movies just debase themselves by just feeding into that same exact idea.
Yeah, and another movie with a great performance by Emma Stone.
Yep. Yeah. I couldn't help but notice you didn't have La La Land anywhere.
No, I don't have a musical category, and La La Land just didn't make the list anyway.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so
I would throw Whiplash on here, though. Somehow I didn't get that, but I did. Whiplash is definitely a great movie.
I absolutely love that movie. There's another movie that's apparently like a similar concept.
Heavy Metal?
Yeah, that I've been meaning to watch, but I haven't.
From what I understand, that's a better version of the same movie.
That's what I heard as well, yeah. I can't wait to see it. What else?
Trying to think of any of these.
Grand Budapest, you said?
I do have that on my list. I just put it under adventure movies. But yeah, that would be another, like, critical darling that was definitely recognized.
Well, I don't have your list, so if you want to...
Well, in terms of what else is on here in the drama category, I have The Florida Project, which was just criminally underseen and underrated.
Love that movie. If you want to watch, like, not a feel-good movie, but kind of a feel-good movie, like, at times, it is...
Yeah.
It is similar to, like, a feel-good movie, but it's also, like, a real film. Yeah.
Well, it's like a coming-of-age story, but it has, like, a lot of neo-realistic elements, so there's a lot of, like, non-professional actors in it, but they all give really emotional performances, and I don't know, it's kind of meditation on, like, the dark side of Disney World in a very odd way. Kind of have to watch them. Like, I don't really want to spoil anything from a lot of these.
Oh, okay, got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, of all of these, The Florida Project would be among my 10 favorite.
I do love that movie a lot. I don't know of anyone who could watch that and not enjoy it.
Past that one, I have The Wind Rises, which was my only way to get Miyazaki on the list. Hayao Miyazaki's last movie, The Wind Rises.
I have yet to see it.
Very, very good. It's on HBO.
Damn.
So all of his movies are on HBO because they were all released or distributed internationally by Warner Brothers. But yeah, excellent.
Sign me up.
Movie about a Japanese engineer who helps design fighter planes in the 20s or 30s, 1920s, 1930s. So, from that time period, you can see where things might be heading. Ghost Story we talked about briefly. Birdman. Shoplifters was a Japanese movie in 2018 that won Best Foreign Film. I'm pretty sure it won. That's another good one that's kind of in the Florida Project vein of like neorealism. There were definitely some very famous actors in it, but I think there were some amateurs as well. But
Who did that one?
I don't know the director's name.
What made it powerful?
The director's name is Hirokazu Koreeda.
It's on my list. I just didn't bother looking it up.
It re-examines the family unit in a way. It's kind of about building your own family rather than, adhering to the one that you're born into.
That's an awesome idea.
Oh
my god!
But it's about like the tragedy of being poor and the tragedy of having an unusual family unit.
Oh my god! Did you just fail to mention one of your favorite movies?
Did I?
Holy Motors.
I mentioned Holy Motors. It's on here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I have my undefined / art house category.
I'm pretty sure I know where that one belongs on your list, but
yeah, the 5 movies in that category are probably the most controversial, just in terms of.
We can get to those later. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, Shoplifters is a great little like family drama with some crime stuff shoved in. After that, we did Manchester by the Sea, The Social Network, which I don't have anything to add to that. It's just like a great movie, unusual one for David Fincher, but expertly made. Really good script by Aaron Sorkin. Good performances all around by the Cannibal Armie Hammer brothers. Good stuff by them. First Reformed. I don't know if you've seen this. I know I've recommended it a number of times.
I haven't yet, no.
Really phenomenal performance by Ethan Hawke. Written and directed by Paul Schrader. Just a great movie about faith. The extremes people go to uphold their faith, and then sort of the duty one has to their faith to uphold their principles.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
After First Reformed, I have one called Nocturama, which is a French movie from 2016. I don't know where to find this to watch it, but I highly recommend it. It's about radical kids and the fallout of their radical actions. I don't have a better way to describe that. In addition to Nocturama, there's another one I've seen, which I believe is an Argentinian movie called Manos, that came out just a couple of years later. Sort of in the same vein, but instead of Nocturama is set in Paris, Manos is set in like the Himalayas, the Andes, like the countryside.
I do remember you mentioning Nocturama. I'm writing all of these down as we speak.
The favorite we talked about a little bit, Roma, is an excellent sort of autobiographical coming-of-age one from Alfonso Cuarón. It's like Netflix's main break into being nominated for awards, even because I think it had to be released in theaters, but ended up counting as a quote-unquote real movie instead of a TV movie. But a lot of really striking visuals in that. Very slow-paced, but very deliberate.
In black and white. Black and white as well.
Yeah, makes really, really strong use of its sets. And I want to say it's Mexico City, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, excellent drama. After that, I have Inside Llewyn Davis, which we talked about on an earlier episode, the Coen Brothers movie. That's kind of a comedy, drama, dramedy, tragedy.
Yeah, I thought that movie was gonna be strong, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, if that makes sense. Additionally, my brain is just firing away on all of these different ideas. I just thought of a movie that came out in 2021. Never mind.
Which one's that?
I'm thinking of Ending Things.
Oh yeah, that was on my list and I deleted it because it was too new.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about so many of these movies. But
oh yeah, we'll talk about Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze at some point. Probably Charlie Kaufman, maybe not Mr. Jones. The next one I have is Silence, the Scorsese movie, which we have covered on the program before. Another one about struggles of faith and apostatizing.
I was going to say something better than that. Meditations on Faith. Ha. No, yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed that. It certainly made me look at what I believe in and my own faith in different approaches, and also like what drives other people to believe in something, and how important it is to believe in something, like even if it may not be like a higher power or what have you, depending on who you are. Believing in something is important, and that's the human spirit needs that in some capacity, I would say.
Yeah, it's really about will, like how strong your will can be in the face of any adversity. The last one I have on here is called The Hunt, which is a Danish movie with Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen plays like a kindergarten teacher who is accused of diddling one of his students. He did not do it, and you know that the whole time. Yeah, it's a really powerful movie, and has aged really well, mainly because Mikkelsen has just become more and more popular, and because in the wake of, increasing alertness that people have towards, making sure kids are okay, but also making sure women are okay with, the abuses that exist in the world. The Hunt sort of goes through what it's like to be falsely accused of that before, Hollywood started to have this reckoning with itself. That does it for what I have there. Is there any movies you have under drama, or that you would say are drama, that we didn't list or talk about at all?
There are a ton that I would have under drama. They're not necessarily like Oscar or critically acclaimed, but Life of Pi is on there. Just because that's one that did really well, from what I remember.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
It was really fun. What I can't remember for the life of me remember the movie that is sort of like an epic tale that is in a similar vein to Life of Pi. There's like lots of really stark colors. There may be like some time involved. There's like a scene where a guy's running on a pyramid and a bunch of people are chasing him with swords. We'll figure it out after.
People are chasing guys on pyramids with swords.
Like
Similar
color
to Life of Pi.
Color plays a huge factor in it. And
The Fall?
Like, yes, it's The Fall. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That movie was cool. I like that a lot, and I feel like that and Life of Pi are kind of similar. Like they're getting at similar ideas in different ways, but they have strong threads between the two. 12 Years a Slave. For the life of me, I really struggle with remembering this movie. I may have been like really tired when I saw it, but I remember I watched it in college, and despite me not remembering the whole movie, oh my god, there are a few scenes that really hit hard. Which yeah, it would probably be a tough movie to watch twice, I would say, in some capacity.
Yeah, really strong direction in that movie.
That's Steve McQueen.
Yeah, I'm actually a little ashamed of myself that I didn't put any of Steve McQueen's stuff from this decade on, because I
Steve McQueen
really like Shame. Shame's a great movie with Michael Fassbender. I also liked Widows.
You bring up a good point here. I have a category that's haven't seen but I've heard are good. So I could run through those quickly, or we could do that at the end. I'll do that at the end. I'll save them. But yeah, the Shame is on there. Moonlight, I have. I really enjoyed Moonlight. I know we talked pretty heavily about it after it came out, and I seem to recall from our conversation that it felt almost like the final 2/3 of it, or the final 3/4, was like missing something, or it wasn't like that last third piece of the movie just wasn't quite as impactful as it felt like it was leading up to be. But I still really liked that movie a lot.
Did you see Call Me by Your Name?
No, that's on my list of watch movies.
So Call Me by Your Name, I think Moonlight is better through its first 3/4. And Call Me by Your Name has a much strong, like all of the, like the way that the relationship plays out comes together most powerfully at the end. And there's specifically like this one really good monologue by Michael Stuhlbarg, or Stuhlberg. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But that type of thing is like a very Hollywood way to end a romantic movie, even one that's bittersweet or just kind of sad. And Moonlight, to me, I didn't feel anything towards the ending, and that feels deliberate. I guess I just wanted some more. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I just wanted there to be some more cinematic to the end, because I really like the first 2/3. Obviously, Mahershala Ali's performance in the first part is like, kind of steals the whole movie, and then the second part where they're in and out of school is the most visually engaging part and the most intense part for the character's journey. But yeah, I never really liked the end of that movie. And Call Me by Your Name, the only real similarities is they're both about gay relationships, but like, if you could take the way that the ending of that one is executed and put it into Moonlight, you would have like the perfect romantic movie, in my opinion.
Gotcha. What else on here? I have 3 Billboards as well as Lady Bird. Not that those are the same movie, but they came out the same year.
Yeah, Lady Bird's on my list. I just didn't say anything about it.
They're good movies. I don't think they're by any means incredible. Like, I would probably say they're great.
Yeah, I think they're both great movies.
I wouldn't say they're incredible. So for me, they're probably like 8.5 to 9s. Yeah, really well told stories, great acting. You mentioned Roma, you mentioned The Favorite. The Irishman I have on here. I have it on here. I also have a category overrated, which I didn't add anything on, but I figured I would probably add on as we talked. I haven't come up with any, but Irishman, I wouldn't even say is overrated. I don't think that anyone like loses their mind over this movie, but I enjoyed watching it. It's just, I don't want to say it's too long because that's a cop out, but some things could have been done much better, I would say. There are a little too many scenes for me that are like too drawn out, if that makes sense. Like the guy from Snatch who plays...
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin the movie, but there are a few scenes with him as Jimmy Hoffa that are too drawn out.
No, Al Pacino is Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
The Snatch guy is the guy who wants Jimmy Hoffa dead.
Right. There are a few scenes with him anyway that just take up too much time. You mentioned Hell or High Water?
I did, yeah. That is under my thriller category.
Okay, we won't get there then. You really like The Irishman?
I liked it well enough, but it definitely felt like it needed an editor.
Yeah.
I also think that I would view the movie a lot differently if it was Scorsese's last movie. Because in a weird way, it feels like the bookend to a career. Like it feels like the last thing someone would have to say. You know, all these actors are getting together and they're much older, and obviously it's going to be Joe Pesci's last movie because he came out of retirement to do it. But yeah, I think it could have been more cleanly edited.
I don't think I have any other ones on there for drama other than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
If you wanna call it a drama.
Yeah, you could. Drama, thriller, art house. Yeah, I would also probably put that on my list here. So I like that more than some movies we've talked about.
I like it more than Looper, that's for sure.
Yeah, Looper would never make my...
You haven't? Oh, you have seen it. Never mind. Well, where are we going now? You said thriller or horror?
Let's do thrillers, because I think a few of these we do have in similar. So I have Hell or High Water, and then I also have the other ones, the other Sheridan movies like Wind River and Prisoners. Sicario.
Prisoners?
Prisoners is not related to Sheridan. I just
okay.
listed it because, yeah, Wind River and Hell or High Water and Sicario, I believe, are all written by Mr. Sheridan, but only Wind River is directed by him.
Correct.
But all three are brilliantly written and very well made in very different styles, despite being semi-linked by Sheridan's scripts.
Hell or High Water is sort of like the 2010's No Country for Old Men in some way for me. It has a lot of similarities. Obviously, the scenery and whatnot. The story is not the same, but the way the characters interact, I would say is similar. So Hell or High Water is two brothers decide to rob banks. Cut to us robbing a bank together. And
my lawyer said I can't talk about that.
Okay, it's a joke. It's a joke for all intents and purposes. It's a joke.
I can't even comment whether or not it would be a joke.
As I said, cut to, given that it's in a movie, you know. Yeah. So they decide to rob banks together, and
then it becomes a bit cat and mouse.
Yeah,
as it goes along.
Which is what reminds me of No Country. Prisoners, I absolutely adore completely. I just really, really like that movie. It's kind of like if The Lovely Bones wasn't meant for children. In a lot of ways. I don't really know how else to explain it. I don't really want to ruin it, but...
I would describe it as a nice family-friendly Thanksgiving movie.
Don't do that.
It takes place on Thanksgiving. It's a celebration of family.
Don't watch it with someone that you are just tangentially related to and are like, you want to watch a movie? I would not recommend it. Just picturing the scenes with Paul Dano.
Put it on for the kids.
Definitely don't do that. What was another one you had for thriller? I think we should just walk through your list instead of us going back and forth.
Uncut Gems is the first one I have.
Yeah. Oh my heavens.
Yeah, the Safdie brothers had just been making a lot of really small, sort of mumblecore dramas for no money, just no budget dramas. And then they made Good Times.
It's Good Time.
Good Time. With Robert Pattinson.
And one of the Safdies, right?
Yeah. And then they caught the attention of, I don't know, Martin Scorsese, and then they got funding for Uncut Gems. And they were finally allowed to work with Adam Sandler, and utilized him in the most perfect way I've ever seen. By just making an extremely tense thriller about a man who cannot stop gambling.
Starring Kevin Garnett.
Yes. In the end, it was just me and the rock, or me and the stone. Forget the exact line. I think it's just me and the stone.
The stone! Where is the stone?
Holy shit, I'm gonna come. These are all quotes from Uncut Gems. Basically, the plot is...
the other one was from Snatch, but
yeah. The Adam Sandler plays a man who's cripplingly addicted to gambling on everything, both literally and metaphorically. And he comes across some huge African sapphire? Is it a sapphire or an emerald?
I thought it was a sapphire or a diamond. I think it's a doesn't matter.
It's a large
it's a very
uncut
precious
gem.
It's a very precious gem.
Uncut gems also means two things, because largely a lot of the characters are Jews. So, you know, difference between cut and uncut fellas.
I never thought of that, but sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, it's a part of it. Diamond District.
No, I'm sure that is a saying, yeah.
It's both very, very funny and very intense, like finger chewing the nails off your hands till they bleed.
Yeah, it's like more intense, but also still carrying humor, like The Sopranos. Like,
yes,
it's more intense than The Sopranos, but
yes.
It has the same humor.
Yes, highly recommend that one. Next one I have is I Saw the Devil.
I saw the devil in Taiwan with my friend Anthony. Shout out to Anthony Hom, living it up in Taipei. Yeah, that movie was really cool. Let's just say it is Korean. It is Korean. And it's called I Saw the Devil, so you can only imagine how dark and twisted it is.
Yeah, very reminiscent of a lot of Park Chan-wook's movies, but taken in a much different direction. I've seen a number of movies by this director. I forget it's like Ji Woon. I've really liked everything by him, but this was, I think, far and away his best movie. Just really, really dark. Has a very strange sense of humor. Some unique action scenes, like just weird chase scenes. Like, you can tell it's not directed or shot the same way as a lot of traditional action movies that we get in America. Really off the wall serial killer characters.
What's next?
Next is Wind River.
A very different movie than I Saw the Devil.
Basically the same. They're both kind of revenge movies.
They are revenge.
Not really. I Saw the Devil's a revenge movie, but Wind River is very sobering.
The end of Wind River kind of reminds me of Sicario in some senses. But like all at once. Wind River, yeah, it has like a tragedian aspect to it. The one particular scene, like the climax of the movie, which it like builds up to / works back on, and yeah, it's brutal because you know what's gonna happen and you don't want to see it, and it happens. Yeah.
Which, yeah, a very meditative movie for a thriller. Pretty slow moving at times. Shockingly good performance from Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, he does a good job, although he might be a monster.
He just likes cocaine a little too much.
And may not like women.
He likes them just fine, just not his wife. Moving on. Next one I have is Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Oh, bother.
This movie is like if David Fincher was hired to direct an exploitative B movie. There's like a
starring Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
it's not the scenario Nolan laid out. This movie literally is starring Vince Vaughn in like ultra violence.
Yeah, incredibly slow paced at times. It moves very deliberately towards the title. Eventually, there will be a fight in prison,
and it's gonna be bad.
This movie's. It uses action so sparsely that when action happens, it's hard not to gasp, especially in the way that it's just very graphic.
This is done by the same guy that did Bone Tomahawk, right?
Yeah, Craig Zahler.
Yep, still haven't seen that movie. God.
Oh, yeah. That and Dragged Across Concrete. Those would probably be in my, runner-up categories for movies on this list. Yeah, great attention to detail in that movie. It just every sound matters. Every little bit counts. Next one I have is called You Were Never Really Here, which is a psychological thriller starring Joaquin Phoenix as not a hitman, but like a bounty hunter in a way. Not in like the way we think of them, where they're just like hunting people down and shooting them, but like basically he has to rescue some little girl. And it's better not to say anything else. It's a short movie, really powerful, great performance by Joaquin Phoenix.
I haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
The next one's called Burning, which is a Korean mystery thriller.
I left it off my list.
You didn't like it? Or just didn't like it that much?
I thought it was good. I wouldn't say it's overrated. I felt like it was... It's another one of those movies that 2/3 of it are good. I just didn't like the ending very much. Like, I knew what was going to happen at the end, like, for the most part, but, like, it was just, like... It was like all of the oxygen was, like, let out of a fuel tank before it was, like, set ablaze, but all of that oxygen was just... I felt like I was flying away with the oxygen instead of, like, being combusted. Yeah. I don't know how else to explain it except that. Good acting. Like, I really appreciated the acting in it. The one scene in particular is when the three characters are looking out, like, at the sunset, sort of in the rural area, because it really reminded me a lot of some of the places I stayed in Taiwan. But yeah, I just wasn't that big of a fan of it. For whatever reason. It was a good movie, but it wasn't great for me. What's next?
Next is Hell or High Water, which we kind of discussed, and then Prisoners, which we also discussed, and then Sicario, which is another Denis Villeneuve movie.
Yeah, Sicario is just both of the prior movies put together.
Yeah, basically.
But through the lens of a Sicario, or a slowly, like, revealed Sicario. And there are people who it seems like it keeps getting higher and higher up that you're like, wait, who's calling these literal shots? And then
you find out the CIA is basically just out for revenge and not really led to do anything other than commit perpetual atrocities.
Brolin's a good guy.
Yeah, Josh Brolin is the hero of the story. Moving on, I've got Take Shelter. I don't know if you've seen this one.
Nope.
This is starring Michael Shannon. It's like a man slowly loses his mind and starts building a underground bunker where he can hide his family from himself.
Damn.
It's like one of those movies where you can't really tell what's real and what isn't, as he kind of goes insane, which is a genre I really like. Definitely a great movie. I think it was one of the first movies that put Michael Shannon like really on my list of actors I highly enjoy.
I've loved him in everything I've seen him in.
Well, I can't recommend that one enough then. The last one on my thriller list is Drive.
Let's go. I love that movie. I really enjoy that. I feel like I could watch that movie infinitely, honestly. It probably just says something about myself, but I find it to be a very emotionally charged movie. The action is sick, and there are a bunch of sort of like long, slowly rolling shots as like Ryan Gosling is just slowly rolling his wheels down the street. The lighting is excellent. He probably says a handful of like 50 words, like not even, maybe 25 words the whole movie. But not in a way where like initially it throws you off, right? But then as it goes on, you just kind of get that that's who he is, and that's how he goes about the world. And I take a lot of, it's kind of ironic because we're doing a podcast right now, but I take a lot of inspiration from his character in the movie, in his sort of like stoic manner.
It's funny you call him stoic. I would just call him apathetic.
Sort of. I wouldn't. He definitely has moments of apathy, that's for sure. I think there's a fine line between stoicism and apathy, though. So, yeah. The score is pretty cool. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I really like Winding Refn's movies. Probably like his 2000s movies more than his more recent stuff. I have not enjoyed what he's made since Drive, but Drive is definitely an excellent, well-recognized thriller.
That's your last one?
Yep.
For thriller?
For thriller, yep.
Alright, let's see what I've got on here for thriller. You said this other movie is on a different list. We mentioned Whiplash, which is like not really thrillerish, but
no, that's just a drama.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I forgot about Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is kind of thriller-ish.
Yeah, I'd count it as a thriller.
So I just recently watched Blow Back. No, not Blow Back. Blow Out. Sorry, Blow Out. And
Blow Up?
No, not Blow Up. Blow Out. The one with John Travolta.
The De Palma movie?
Yes. And Nightcrawler kind of reminded me of that, like in a lot of ways. It's Jake Gyllenhaal who just kind of gets obsessed with shooting video and continues to sort of up the ante with what he seeks out to shoot and potentially profit from. And he gives a great performance in this. I think we might have to do like an episode on Jake Gyllenhaal films, just because he kind of is an actor that I don't want to say flies under the radar because he's very well recognized, but like he's in so many good movies. Like he's in way too many good movies. Like he seems like a good actor, but he seems also kind of just like an actor, like a generic actor, and I don't really think that's who he is. That's not what I've seen him as.
I actually think he is the main thing that pushes Prisoners to be on my list.
Yeah,
like, if it was just Hugh Jackman and like some guy playing the detective character, it probably wouldn't be as great of a movie as it is. But
like throw Jeremy Renner in.
No, that would not be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
That would not work.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, that is What was it for thriller? What was the last one? Nightcrawler. Mad Max.
Yeah.
You have that for action?
Action. I forgot to put that on. Yeah. Mad Max Fury Road. Probably the best action movie of the last 10 years.
Doesn't even start out at 0. It literally starts out at 1,000,000. Just 1,000,000 miles an hour, gallivanting across the desert with Tom Hardy, like basically coked out on the front of a dune buggy-esque, like apocalyptic, sand-filled nightmarescape.
Yeah. In terms of movies of that nature, there's only one I've seen that even comes close to it in terms of like keeping momentum and high octane action happening at all times. And that movie is called Redline, which I cannot recommend enough.
When is that from?
2008? 2009? It would be on this list if this list was from the 2000s. It's just an insane animated movie about basically this sci-fi race.
Yeah, anything that is that high octane I need in my life.
It's more high octane than Fury Road.
Damn.
The only difference is the practical effects in Fury Road like really, really play well in the theaters. Whereas Redline, I didn't, some random Japanese animated movie didn't get theater play in America.
Oh, imagine that. Another one that I have on here is The Revenant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that.
Did you mention it for thriller?
No, it's under adventure.
Yeah,
it's
sense.
A fun adventure movie where Leonardo DiCaprio finds who he really is in the Alaskan wilderness
and befriends Little Bear.
Yeah, hey, that bear had it coming.
Thriller also, that does it. I mean, do you put Get Out under thriller or?
No, I put that under horror.
The horror. Parasite isn't thriller either. Yeah. How about...
It kind of is. Yeah, we didn't talk about Parasite at all. Just because if you haven't seen Parasite, stop listening to this and go watch Parasite.
Yeah. Do us all a favor. We can't really talk about that movie. Just go watch it because you'll thank yourself. And maybe us. The Witch.
Which did not make it on here, but...
We just did our episode on Eggers.
Yeah. Yeah, The Lighthouse is on here.
Right. But The Witch, I guess you could say, is a thriller / horror.
Thriller, yeah. Period drama.
Shape of Water, you said, is drama, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantasy, drama, adventure. Yeah. Yeah, just great movie, great performances, really well directed. Del Toro's just an awesome director.
Good Time, you mentioned.
Good Time I mentioned, but is not on here.
David, our other brother, the third, the completion of the trifecta, he is, I think, a bigger fan of Good Time than Uncut Gems. And I think he actually convinced me to, like, I might actually put Good Time above Uncut Gems. Yeah, I thought it was really strong.
It's a good movie. I definitely wouldn't go that far, but
I would have to see it again.
I've seen plenty of movies that are like Good Time. Uncut Gems is a movie in its own league.
Right, so basically you're saying that piece of that pie is what propels it higher because it's of its uniqueness and what it does.
Uncut Gems just feels really refreshing, whereas, yeah, Good Time as like a vague independent movie with one star in it. I've just seen other movies like the I don't know what you would call those movies, like a Night on the Town movie, like movies where it's like in one night this character goes on a crazy journey.
Not a one night stand, but one night adventure.
Yeah, doing drugs and hooking up with kids and just getting into all kinds of trouble.
Zoinks! You mentioned
that is the plot of that movie.
No, I know you mentioned hooking up with kids, which just that's a big zoinks there, Shaggy. What was the other one you mentioned? Spring Breakers?
I do have Spring Breakers. Yeah.
Not that that's a thriller. What do you have as that? Adventure?
undefined/art house.
Okay, we'll get there. Let's go to adventure, please. I'll take adventure for 500, please.
Yeah, adventure. We talked about The Revenant. We briefly mentioned Grand Budapest
What?
Hotel.
We didn't talk about The Revenant. I'm not done with that movie.
A guy kills a bear and then gets revenge. So that's all.
How dare you?
Goes on a long journey in between. Leonardo DiCaprio literally got beat up over and over again by real weather.
And a deceptively mustachioed / bearded Tom Hardy that doesn't look like Tom Hardy at all.
Mm-hmm. You get the Domhnall Gleeson puts in a fine performance, and Will Poulter puts in a good performance. Some good actors in this one. Great vision by Inarritu that I think comes through really well. What's the actor? The character's name? Glass? Philip Glass?
Yes, something like that. No, Philip Glass is an author.
Composer? Oh.
Philip Glass is an author. The Revenant, also Inarritu. Just a shout out to Inarritu again, who did Birdman. But I'm just gonna say this: Amoris Peros, not on this list because it didn't come out in the 2010s. But please go watch that movie, Amoris Peros. I love that movie so much.
Life's a bitch.
And then you buy a dog. What's next? Adventure, Grand Budapest.
Grand Budapest. Yeah, that's that. Of everything we've talked about, that would be in my top 10.
Really?
This period, yeah, I really like that movie.
Wow.
Like it.
That really surprises me.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess it's just too nice of a movie for you to choose. Like that, I don't mean
too nice. This is a dark movie.
The Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yeah, there are people being shivved in a prison, and like there are numerous murders.
It's like all in jest, though. It's all in good fun.
Ralph Fiennes' character in the movie is a serial. What's the word for it when you only fuck old people?
A serial octogenariist?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I mean, it's also like the entire movie is in the backdrop of like fascism taking over Europe. It's deceptive how funny it is, but yeah, I think it's a great movie. Like,
I don't think it's deceptive. I think it just is, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, deceptively dark.
Yes.
For how funny it is.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But there are like 20 A-list actors in this movie, and they all do just a little quirky thing, and it all works together really well. I love the movie. I think it's Wes Anderson's best movie by far.
That I agree with for sure. I don't know if I would put it in a top 10, but
I would. I don't think there's ever been a movie that takes the budget that it has and does so much with so little.
Okay, I would agree with that. What was the other adventure-ish?
The next two I am sure you have not seen. One is called The Nightingale, which is an Australian film by a woman named Jennifer Kent. This is like a revenge / adventure / horror movie about a woman in the 1800s in Australia whose husband is murdered, and then she has to go on a long journey with a recently freed Aboriginal dude.
Recently freed?
Sort of. It's complicated. But basically they go on this crazy adventure where she's plagued by memories and haunting visions and bad dreams and nightmares. This one's got the trigger warning. There's a lot of rape in this movie.
Oh God.
It's a really, really good movie. Jennifer Kent is best known for The Babadook. She was the writer-director of The Babadook.
So that movie is on my that's on my list of haven't seen but heard are good. Yeah.
Yeah, Babadook I'd recommend, and The Nightingale. The Babadook is like a really well written, decently realized horror movie. Whereas The Nightingale is kind of an underwritten script that is just blown out of the water by strong direction. I don't really have much more to say. I don't want to spoil anything about it. I don't think a lot of people saw it. I think it got some international recognition, but definitely worth a watch. And then go ahead.
Is Black Panther on here?
No.
It's not really adventure, but it kind of is. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. I don't really want to get into superhero bashing mode, but you and I don't really talk that much about superhero movies because they're more movies or roller coaster rides than films.
At some point, I think it would be worth having a conversation about the first 3 phases of the Marvel universe.
Yes, definitely. But as far as
they're just not my favorite movies, so that's why none of them show up here.
As far as Black Panther goes, though, I saw it in. Why are you laughing?
That wasn't a laugh. I'm just like breathing heavily, and
I just saw you.
That was just a heavy breath.
Chortling over there.
I was laughing at my own breathing into the. I just like the sound.
Back to Black Panther. that movie was awesome. It did everything I wanted it to do and way more. And I saw it in Taiwan, which was a very interesting experience just because I feel like if I had seen it in America, it would have made it even like stronger. Mainly because like, Taiwan doesn't have a lot of people that probably like like Black Panther like is a huge success for Black people everywhere, and it draws everyone into a superhero movie where the main character is Black and does such a good job with it, and the whole entire movie is about celebrating Black culture, and it does it so well. And part of me wishes that I had been in America because I think it would have been a different experience. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's an emotional superhero movie. Like, if you're able to do that in a superhero film, you have my vote for sure.
I would say it probably would have made my list if the ending was good.
Gotcha.
Like the last 30-ish minutes of that movie just
devolve
into complete
want to
nonsense.
Spoil the end of the movie.
Rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
No,
I like that part. It's everything before that part that I hate.
I was gonna say because that part. Damn, that part, yeah.
The way that they make the action scenes in these movies is they make them before the movie is ever shot, usually. Or they're making it while the movie is being shot. And they're recycling the same types of visual effects that have been used for 20 years over and over again. So if you've seen these movies, even just once, you'll start to recognize the patterns they use to make the CGI work, and it looks the same way. So this movie has multiple parts where I'm like, that's from 2002's Spider-Man, that's from X-Men Last Stand, that's from The Avengers. That's like I'm just picking them out, and by that point I'm out of the movie entirely because they've just shown me a clip show of other content. I don't want the clip show, I want new action stuff, and I understand that you can't do that because the movie costs $400 million and needs to make $1 billion, so we gotta just use the same old recycled crap. But unfortunately, that strong reaction that I have to it undercuts all the good things this movie does well that other Marvel movies just don't even try to do.
Unfortunately, you have such a good memory, and unfortunately, you're thinking about it too much. You just need to smile and clap.
Just turn your brain off is what that's a problem I have frequently. Is I watch a movie and after about 20 minutes I go, just fucking turn your own brain
Smile
off,
and
Nolan.
clap.
This
It's
is,
Marvel.
You've thought too
Just
much about
smile
this.
and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Black Panther, though, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how you haven't seen it at this point. Speaking of which, I need to see Black Panther 2, hopefully before it comes out of theaters.
What if I told you? What if you went back in time and Black Panther had come out and you just told someone like, all right, in 4 years, Chadwick Boseman's going to be dead and they're going to have released a movie that undercuts every message of this one and it's going to make
I would
more
say
money.
that sounds pretty
How do
realistic.
you feel about that?
You saw it?
Well, that's what happened.
Well, I'm gonna see it.
I'm not watching
I'll give
this.
it a chance.
Have fun. Have fun with a movie that's 3 hours long and shits
Oops.
on the legacy
Okay.
of one you just said was good. Sorry, we're gonna get off. I have some pent up hatred.
I think you're just having
some
that
of the Marvel
cloud.
shit.
Just approaching these two as possible anomalies, but
No, Black Panther is a good movie.
you haven't
Black
seen
Panther
it.
2 is not.
I'll
Prove
have
me
to.
wrong.
I'll have to see it. Adventure movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Speaking of other superhero movies, why are you hiding now off camera? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I don't have too much negative
movie.
to say about that one, so that's.
That movie's spectacular.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun movie. I'm gonna quote from Lars von Trier here, and animated movies suck.
Once Upon a Time in...
I've already listed
I know.
several animated movies.
I know you're
Just
being
gonna walk
facetious.
that back.
Once Upon a Time
just
in
to hate them
Hollywood.
all.
That's a good... it's not an adventure. It's an adventure drama. Sure. Yeah, it's a good-ass
movie.
Especially if you know the history behind it. That certainly deepened the message for me, I would say. Like, if you don't know what actually happened to Sharon Tate, then it's just a movie. But if you do know, it certainly changes matters. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, having a good memory of 60s film history, Sharon Tate, and Roman Polanski. It's some good
Parasite.
homework before watching it.
Go watch it. That's it. That does it for adventure for me.
The last one I have is called Embrace of the Serpent.
That's a genre.
No, that's a movie. That's the last of the adventure movies I have.
What the hell is that movie?
It is a Colombian movie.
Okay.
It's about how do I describe it? There's like a dying German ethnographer who he goes to the Amazon to seek like some rare plant to cure his disease. And then like 30 years later another guy goes looking for the same thing. And the stories kind of play out at the same time. It's all black and white. It's an incredible movie.
You're just making me want to stop recording right now and just go watch a number of these.
This one would also be on my top 10. It might be when we get through all of these, it might be worth like pausing for a minute, making a list of which ones would be our absolute favorites, and then going over them. So I can stop spoiling which ones are my favorites. But yeah, this one is phenomenal, and I don't know anyone else who's seen it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's even available to watch anywhere easily, but
You definitely have a number of movies like that. Also, the guy that we met who's Jose's friend in Spain, although I won't say his name because I don't know if he really wants us to mention him, but I'm friends with him on Letterboxd, but he has seen probably, well, he's older than us, but your like selection of movies and the number of movies you've seen just reminds me of his, because every time I go on Letterboxd and I'm like, oh, I bet none of my friends have seen it, he always has seen them. He's just watched so many films. Yeah, So that does adventure. What's next?
I've got a few comedy movies on here.
Okay.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh my God, I just didn't write that down.
You monster.
I just didn't remember.
Well, I mean, you've mentioned like 5 where I've just gone, oh fuck, yeah, right. That of course, Whiplash, like an awesome movie.
Yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street definitely deserves to be on there.
Yeah, just for a movie that pushes 3 hours, it feels like it's barely 2.
Well, yeah, because
it sets a breakneck speed and delivers on it again and again. Very funny.
Every F word also is just propulsing the film further, but yeah.
We're not gonna be friends.
Pure debauchery. Unadulterated debauchery.
Next one I have is What We Do in the Shadows, which is now a hit TV show on FX.
Oh, we're not sponsored by them, but yeah, that...
No, but I also like the TV show. I think the TV show is great.
The TV show is better, I would say, but...
I would relax a little bit, but...
at least parts of it. The
TV show is funnier.
I saw the movie again, and I was actually like a little let down by it. Like
it's the pacing. Yeah, the pacing feels real slow.
Yes,
because it's more awkward. They try to get you with these like long gags where it's like, isn't it funny? He's taking it very seriously. Whereas the show is like bang bang bang, joke 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 joke, joke 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 joke.
Welcome back after that furious bathroom break.
Ad break for FX.
We can't do that. Anyway, we were just finishing Adventure, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we got into comedy.
I don't know if you've seen this one, but this was left off of some of our other discussions, which is The Square. Have you seen The Square?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen The Square, and I also recommended
his other one,
Force de Jour. And
yeah,
I really want to see his new movie, Triangle of Sadness. Ruben Östlund, I believe is the director's name. Cut his teeth by making skiing videos.
Yeah, that is wild.
The Square is really good. I didn't put that down on here.
I really enjoyed it.
I would recommend The Square.
I don't know if I would say it's a very rewatchable movie, but yeah.
No, I'll never watch that again. His movies are too deliberate, and by deliberate I mean slow.
Yes, definitely. I don't think I had any comedies on here, actually.
The other 2 I had were Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, yeah.
Which, just really funny, poignant. Great performance by Lakeith Stanfield. Great twist.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing more to say about it, but really funny. Well acted, well written.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of What We Do in the Shadows in some ways, more than one way. What's the other comedy?
The other comedy I have is The World's End, which could also just be considered a science fiction or an adventure movie. I don't think people like this one as much as I did, but I really like this movie.
Damn, neither of us put Baby Driver down.
No, I did not put Baby Driver.
Was that purposeful, or?
Yes. I like Baby Driver, but I don't love Baby Driver the way I love the Cornetto movies. I think Edgar Wright just really nailed it with those 3.
Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are the other 2.
Yeah. The Ice Cream Trilogy.
Shame. So many good memes from that, actually.
Slashing prices. Yarp.
So what do we have next? We've got horror.
Yeah, the only other two categories I have are the undefined / art house ones, and then the horror ones. We can talk about the art house ones first, because I think you've seen all but. Well, we've both seen Holy Motors, which very difficult to define beyond pretentious art house.
I don't think most people would like that movie, but I love that movie. I saw it again with with Anna, and it was for the first time, and she was just like, "Well, that was a movie." And I was like, "Yeah, I can't really explain to you why I love it, but I definitely love it."
It has a dance number, it has a musical number, it has some sort of schlocky crime parts, and then it has that long part where the leprechaun man eats cigarettes and flowers and kidnaps Eva Mendes.
One of my favorite scenes in all of cinema. Like there are just very few striking images as poetic, as visually moving poetry as that.
The one where he comes out of the manhole cover, he just immediately eats handfuls of, literally he eats handfuls of money and flowers and cigarettes.
But not like eating, like he just like is just like, oh, a tasty burger. He's like, he needs it as sustenance, like a rabid animal, like needs the flesh. Like it's, yeah, flesh. This, yeah, that movie's so cool. I assume then you have Under the Skin as well.
Yes, yeah. I really wish Jonathan Glazer was making more movies, but he seems to be content making one every 10 years.
It might just make him, or it might just take him that long to fully develop it.
Oh, I think he's also a music video director, and it seems that he prefers to do that. Or he just can't get funding, who knows. But yeah, Under the Skin is great picture.
I would imagine he would be pretty solid at music videos. And then Parasite, I assume, is also on this list. Keeps coming up.
No, Parasite was on my drama list.
What else is on here?
Spring Breakers, which I would consider like pop art house type movie.
Definitely. That's an enjoyable movie. I don't know if I could watch it again, but yeah.
I've seen it a few times.
I'd have to be in a certain mood to watch it again. Kind of reminds me of Good Time in some ways.
Yeah, I'd say like they probably cut from the same cloth in a way.
The themes, or theme, rather. Depending on if you believe a movie has several themes or not.
Yeah, I don't know if they're thematically too related. Kind of.
I see some threads between them in that way. Like trying to make the most of life, and it not panning out as intended. One is more about like consumerism and the American, how do you put this, facade of acquiring money and wealth and what have you. The other is not as much about that.
Yeah, Good Time is like the tragedy of those brothers trying to get by versus Spring Breakers, which is like the tragedy of like Florida party life and consumerist culture
and wanting that life, or imagining that that's what you want out of life.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the other ones?
The other two I have on here are Melancholia.
I haven't seen that, unfortunately.
Which is a Lars von Trier movie with Kristen Dunst as the lead. It's basically about a bride who is really depressed during her wedding. It's the best way I can think of to summarize it. And then the last one is Climax, which is a French movie by a director named Gaspar Noé, he specializes in very fucked up art house movies.
Yep. I'm familiar only from titles of his movies.
Yeah, I would recommend all of his movies. This one might be my favorite.
Is he the Cannibal Holocaust one?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
No, he made Irreversible, which is like the French Memento, but more exploitative and transgressive. He made Into the Void, which is like nothing else. And Climax, which I would also say is like nothing else. It's kind of like a dance movie. I don't know how to describe it. Super good. Kind of a horror movie. Kind of a dance movie. Incredibly shot. Yeah, nothing else to say about that. So that leads us to horror, unless you have some undefined movies on your list.
No, I think they all fall under horror. Let's do it.
I assume here we're gonna have some overlap, like The Lighthouse.
Definitely.
And which we talked about at length in our last episode. We have The Wailing. I assume you have The Wailing, at least.
I absolutely turn up for that movie. I can't believe we watched that with Dad as well. Like, I would never imagine watching that movie with like any of our family members, let alone Dad. But I remember I wanted to watch or I wanted to talk about this. Like, the thought struck me earlier today that like when I watched that movie at the very end, I just had so much energy. There's something that like I get from horror movies that is so different from other movies, where I just get so much like creative energy. It's almost like I just want to like go for a run or like make something or just talk about it for like infinite detail, because it's so inspiring. There's so many unique images in it. There's so much imagery. There's so many symbolic instances that happen, and there is like an ethereal nature to it. There's like mystery to it. There's mythos. There's genuinely like terrifying and damning things that happen, and it's tragic, and it also goes down a road that you think it's going one way, and then it just kind of like fragments and is like striated, and it just changes the way and refracts things, like kind of like a shattered mirror. At the end is how I would describe it.
Yeah, I imagine we're going to do a full episode on it at some point, so I don't really want to say too much about it now.
Criminally underrated movie. Criminally.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on Netflix right now or on Prime, but definitely recommend.
If you like horror movies and you call yourself a horror movie fanatic or what have you, please drop everything and watch that. My goodness.
Unless you can't read subtitles.
Screw that. Figure it out.
Well, no, then you just shouldn't be listening to this. Yeah, Hereditary. I assume you have Hereditary.
Another incredible movie that broke me into what horror can do and why people like horror. It's one of the only movies that I've ever watched in theaters where something happens and I go, holy fuck! It's just wild stuff. Like, just an incredible build up, the tension, the acting in it. Toni Collette was, it was a letdown that she didn't get anything for that movie. She put everything into that, and yeah, There are some terrifying, some frightening moments in that movie.
What's that up in the corner?
I'm gonna have to leave now. Yeah. Mom? Bye. Bye. Yeah. Quite a frightening mix of images.
Yeah, what a tense final act. I've seen some complaints about that movie that the middle section of it, after the like first big incident, is kind of slow, but like a lot of people don't like the actual mystery of the movie because they feel that the ending is like so shocking that it doesn't deserve to go where it goes. But yeah, I just think it's a phenomenal horror movie. I want more horror movies like that.
Yeah, same. I do think it's better than Midsummer, but
Yes.
that's just me.
Midsummer has a lot more going on, but it doesn't all connect, and it makes the slower scenes in between slower.
That being said, there are parts of Midsummer that I can't get out of my head in a more difficult way than Hereditary. Like, Hereditary is genuinely scarier, but Midsummer, just people's bodies being sewn in ways that they shouldn't ever be thought of or imagined is, I don't like any of that. Like, I had a moment where I woke up the one day, like 2 days after watching it, and just imagined the one person just standing above me, like sewn together, and I didn't like any of that. Not for the faint of heart, but a solid movie.
Astor is definitely going to have a long career ahead of him. His ability to portray helplessness, like grief that turns to helplessness, is really, really phenomenal.
I see him as Kafka, who went in like a different direction.
Kafka, who chose to be absurd rather than depressed.
Yes.
Well, along with these other A24 movies, I have one more, which is It Comes at Night. I don't know if you've seen that.
I did see it, yeah. I really liked it.
Kind of like, reminds me a lot of A Quiet Place, oddly enough, but instead of like being an action movie, it's just a slow-moving family drama. And then it just has like that, all the tension builds up for the explosive finale.
It's like it's like Bird Box, but a real movie combined with a Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I don't know if you happened upon that golden nugget of Bird Box, but yeah, we shouldn't have mentioned that movie. Anyway.
I'm legally not allowed to talk about Bird Box.
For anyone listening, that means that Nolan will go on a tirade where we will never be allowed to release any other audio in any form. So moving on
Both
that,
my agent and my publicist are sitting to the side doing this right now. They're like, don't.
Moving on before that bird gets unleashed from the box. Did you? Those were the only ones you had for Hara?
No, I have more.
Oh,
those were the only. I figured because I've mentioned a lot of these A24 movies. That's why I grouped it that way. I have three more. I know you've seen Get Out.
Yeah,
Get
I was
Out
gonna say
is obviously on mine. Just perfectly written, masterfully put together. Like, just shocking that Jordan Peele was just a great writer-director.
Stuck in Key and Peele and stuck in all of these other things. He was in not in Living Color. What was he in?
Mad TV, yeah.
Mad TV, yeah. That's so funny. Just a really creative guy and extremely purposeful and an orchestrationist.
Do you have any other ones?
Yes, I do.
Oh, cool. Let's hear them. Because the next two I'm pretty sure you haven't seen. The two I have, but...
One of my favorites that I think continually gets a bad rap. It Follows.
Mm.
I love that movie so much, and I just have to get on my soapbox for it because it keeps getting the rap of, oh, it's just a metaphor for STDs are bad, and look what happens when you have sex with too many people. You just spread the STDs, and then the thing will come get you. There's so much more going on in it than just that.
Those are just the people who wave their hand so they don't have to talk about a movie they didn't think very deeply about.
Right. Yeah, and that movie broke me into horror movies, so then I could go experience like Hereditary, like before It Follows. Probably just because of my imagination and I guess, for lack of a better word, sensitivity. I didn't really like horror movies because they freaked me out so much, but once I got over that, it really opened up quite a new world of possibilities to myself, but also of being able to experience life as it is, just looking at like a deeper looking at life in a deeper manner is what I'm driving at. But yeah, It Follows. Super, super fun, unsettling movie. There's some really good shots in it. The effects are interesting. I don't know what the budget was for it, but I can't imagine it was very high.
The budget was very small, to the point that the movie was released, and I think it made enough money that they went back through with some of the money they made and edited the pool scene.
You can definitely
to add some
tell
CGI in.
Yeah, you can tell that there are a number of shots from that movie that will forever be burned into my head as well, just because they're really, really iconic. What are the other ones you have?
I have Mandy. I don't know if you've seen or heard of this movie before.
That's Charlize Theron, right?
No.
What?
Nick Cage. This is a Nick Cage film.
What am I thinking of? Oh, I have heard of this, but I'm thinking of the wrong one.
Bill Duke is in it. Yeah, it's basically a psychedelic horror movie, or a psychedelic action horror movie, revenge thriller. It's a lot of things at once. It kind of defies genre.
It sounds like something I would enjoy.
It features a perfectly on the line between completely insane and brilliant performance by Nick Cage. This movie
Classic.
Just completely fell under the radar. I have a lot of friends who watched it.
I've only heard of it from the Instagram that I have. Like, it was recommended by a bunch of people on there. The film Instagram.
Yeah, well, I can't recommend.
Shout out to that Instagram, by the way, Filmtorious, which I can link. The movie I was thinking of was Monster. Sorry, where Charlize Theron.
I figured that was what you thought. But
yeah, sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No, just like a really unique movie that I think Nick Cage, for a lot of people, sort of fell off the map because he hasn't been in a lot of blockbusters or critically acclaimed movies recently, but he's been consistently making like 3 movies a year. I think that one that came out this year was probably the last big one that a lot of people were like, oh right, Nick Cage is a movie star. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, with what's his name?
The Mandalorian guy.
The hawk-faced guy. Yeah. What's the last one?
The House That Jack Built.
Yeah, haven't seen that.
Another Lars von Trier movie. Yeah, it is. It's a combination of the Divine Comedy and like a very by the numbers portrait of a serial killer. I don't have a better way of describing it, but yeah, it's long and it's pretentious, but it's great work of art.
Awesome. This is quite an exhaustive list that we have compiled.
Well, we took a short break in between, and during that break, I mentioned to Reese that there was like, there was probably like 30 to 35 movies I left out.
One of them that just popped in my head was John Wick. That I'd like to just mention. A fun action redemption. It was definitely a fun movie to watch when a past relationship I had came to an end, came to a close. Certainly a great redemption story.
Yeah, I really like John Wick.
I haven't seen I saw the second, but I didn't see the other ones. What were some of the other ones?
Other what?
That you wanted to mention? Other 30 movies you wanted to mention?
Oh, I don't need to mention any of them.
Oh. Okay.
No, you were just saying exhaustive, and that my response was, no, we keep going. We could go for another 2 hours.
I'd like to. Yeah. I think we should get into our top 10s right now, though. Top 10 time of the 2010s. You want to reveal yours first?
Yeah, I'll go in no particular order. See if I can.
Or do you want to go?
I'm going to start with one I just think will be on yours, which is Arrival.
Yeah, I was going to say let's go with one at a time. Let's go with one at a time. That's more fun. Arrival is on my list. Yes. Excellent choice. You have a great choice and a great taste in movies. Good job.
Bitchano.
What was that, bitch? I know.
Yeah.
Just really fast, sounded like Pacino.
Great ass.
All right, I'll go now. So we'll just go every other. Hands off. Hereditary.
I don't have that one.
Poor choice.
I have The Wailing though.
Wouldn't you know it? So do I. All right, what's next for you?
Parasite.
Oh my god, I almost said oops. Yes, that is on my list. Yes. This is in no particular order. I don't know if you said that. Okay.
No, I don't think I did, but yeah. Parasite, Arrival, The Wailing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my turn.
Yeah.
The Lighthouse.
Yep, that one, I have that as well.
No, I left off a movie that I needed. No.
Which one? You said you had honorable mentions anyway. So.
No, but it's gonna bump one of them. Oh no.
Well, I already said the Grand Budapest Hotel was on for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put this one on here. I switched it up. Good thing I didn't say it yet. Okay. So you have The Lighthouse as well, correct? All right. It's your turn.
Well, that's 5. Another one would be Embrace of the Serpent.
Yep, haven't seen it, so it's clearly not on mine. But going down here, I have Mad Max Fury Road, which I don't think you have.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That would be the one I would bump, but I don't want to bump it. Bump it to crumpet. The next one I had was The Wailing, but we said that one. I said Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
Under the Skin.
Hmm.
Maybe it's because I have seen it more recently than you, but
it's been a few years since I've seen that. Yeah. Just you pervert liking naked Scarlett Johansson.
Yep, only reason I like the movie.
That's the only reason anyone has even heard of that movie.
There's no other reason aside from that. Couldn't be the imagery, not of the naked body, but of the other aspects of it.
The lack of dialogue, which leaves room for an immense amount of subtext and hidden themes.
It couldn't be the commentary on what love is and how someone who is not human tries to understand humanity. Couldn't be that either.
No.
Couldn't be the end of the movie either.
No.
Okay, what else you got?
Melancholia.
Okay. I know what I'll have to see soon. This is actually helpful though, because then it at least bumps those up to watch them sooner.
I probably should have prefaced that some of these are like, I mention this now because Melancholia is like not enjoyable to watch. Like Lars von Trier's philosophy of making movies is that they should be the equivalent to a pebble in your shoe. They should bother you.
That probably is more like putting your hand through like a wood chipper, but yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm just assuming.
No, that's Antichrist, which would be on my list if we were talking about the aughts, but that'll be a conversation we'll have another day.
Well, all of the people who are Christians who are listening have tuned out. Drive. Wow, we have pretty diverse lists.
I have Holy Motors. Speaking of driving.
Yeah, that was the one that I had forgotten about before we started, which I needed to have on there because I just love that movie so much.
There's no point of reference from which that draws from.
It's like 100 different movies that I've seen thrown into one. Because there's not a theme. It doesn't have a theme. You could say it has a theme, but that's not true. That isn't true. The last images of the movie. Good God, man.
The cars talking to each other.
Yes. Yes. The craziest thing is when I first saw it, I thought they were gonna talk to each other, and then they did. That was the scariest thing for me, was that actually happened.
That leaves me, I think, with just two more. I don't know how many you have left, but
I said Hereditary, Parasite, The Lighthouse, Arrival, Mad Max Fury Road, The Wailing, Under the Skin, Drive, Holy Motors, and then Prisoners.
Oh, okay, Prisoners.
So what are your last two?
Last two for me are The Florida Project and Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. A man of class.
Yeah, my list is not entirely debaucherous horror.
No, those are great choices. I mean, I have 3 honorable mentions just because it's tough. It's tough to not mention these, but Birdman. Like, not having Birdman on there seems like a disservice and injustice. A Ghost Story.
Yeah, Ghost Story and First Reformed are probably my honorable mentions. They're probably the two I had the hardest time cutting. That and maybe Climax.
Other one,
Climax, Under the Skin. Those.
My other one is It Follows. I just love that movie so much. I really think it deserves a lot more. And I've seen it, I think, probably like 5 times now, and every time I'm left feeling a similar type of way from it.
Yeah, it was another one I just forgot to write. Actually wrote it on my list after you said it because I was like, shit, that is one of my favorites from this decade. I credit It Follows with like starting the sort of rebirth of a lot of like artsy or just high quality, high class horror movies.
Absolutely.
From this decade, because there were quite a number of them, and I think that was the first one that came, at least in an American sort of help to I don't know, kind of felt like a Halloween in a way, how Halloween led to a lot of interesting horror movies getting made.
it's such a simple, like, sort of like kitschy, like, concept, but then its execution sort of feels that way, but then it just does a lot more. Like, it could just be, by all accounts, a shitty B movie. And seems like it is going to be, but it never really goes there. In so many ways, it doesn't do that.
Well, yeah, it's like the budget is really small. The actors are all completely unknown. It's a first-time writer-director. Have you seen Under the Silver Lake? That director's
No.
follow-up?
No.
Neither have I. I don't think it did well.
So yeah, to walk through this once again, Hereditary, Parasite, The Lighthouse, Arrival, Mad Max Fury Road, The Wailing, Under the Skin, Drive, Prisoners, Holy Motors, with honorable mentions of It Follows, A Ghost Story, and Birdman. Do you want to go through yours sequentially?
Yeah, The Wailing, The Florida Project, Grand Budapest Hotel, The Lighthouse, Holy Motors, Inside Llewyn Davis, Embrace of the Serpent, Arrival, Melancholia, and Parasite.
Awesome. This has been an absolute blast. I hope our listeners have at least enjoyed it. We'll see if you even made it this far, but
just listening to lists of movies. Can you hear that?
The prisoners escaped. It's time to go.
Yeah, does that come through?
Yes, very strongly. What great sound effects. All right.
Yeah, whatever whoever actually listens to this, they should know that I live in a small mining prisoner community, and that alarm goes off like once every 12 hours.
No, that just means that the prisoners escaped, and you gotta lock everything down. It's also the place that I went to college, so yeah, every single Saturday at noon was just in the dining hall, and that would go off, and I would just picture like Arkham opening.
The best part is whenever that goes off, it sets off a chain reaction of dogs barking. Because, like, you know, every other house here owns dogs, and they're all outside all the time because I'm in the middle of a third world country. And it's just, like, you'll hear that, and it'll go for, like, 5 seconds, and then it's just bark, bark, and then you hear another bark, bark, bark. So right now I can just hear a cacophony of dog barking slowly dying down. Actually, it's not dying down. They're still going at it.
It's time to end this. Great job, everyone. Great job, Nolan's publicist and lawyer, for keeping him.
And my agent.
Your agent as well. Sorry, I didn't see him back there or off screen. But
actually,
yeah.
It's a they, them.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, I have a room full of people who tell me what to and what not to say.
Most of it is what not to say.
They were missing from that one episode where I was talking about Raytheon, but...
Yep. That all they're gesturing wildly now. One is on the ceiling yelling. Yep, time to go. Next episode should be enjoyable. Eventually we're going to work our way through the aughts. We'll probably work our way back as well and have more content coming at you. Based on these sort of lists. Let us know if you like these lists. We won't read them, but at least you can let us know. I'm semi-joking. We'll see. Any final thoughts, Nolan, before the prisoners get you?
Yeah, now there's like fire truck sirens. Like it's really getting crazy on my end. I mean, my thoughts as a whole, like, for this decade is it was a decade completely defined by big budget franchise movies, as it felt like a lot of the mid-budget movies that we used to see get made slowly went away, at least in Hollywood, which is really disappointing because that mid-budget category is where a lot of newer or smaller or lesser known directors got a shot at, bigger and bigger budgets. And so this was sort of a decade where independent movies flourished because they never had the opportunity to get bigger budgets, which helps because those creative people had to continue to work within the small parameters they had. And so I think the independent, in general, what I would call the independent wing of American cinema really flourished. Horror movies in particular, I think, were really good from these last 10 years. If I had to just boil it down to one director I would recommend from this period, who I barely mentioned, his movies are all on here, but it's Denis Villeneuve, the French-Canadian guy who is now, directing just $300 million Dune movies. But his stuff from this, he was probably my favorite director of this decade. But hence why Arrival made it on my last list, but Arrival, Sicario, Prisoners, Enemy, Incendies, Blade Runner 2049. Just a hell of a list of movies to have made in a pretty short amount of time.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to some upcoming episodes we will have featuring A24 films as well, piggybacking off of what Nolan is talking about here. It's interesting because if you walk through our sort of top lists, a lot of them are either A24 or like that mid-budget category as well. So yeah.
No, I'm saying very few of them are in the mid-budget category.
Oh, I guess they're more low budget, or maybe not.
Yeah, mid-budget is like 20 to 80 million-ish. Like big budget is like over 100 million, like 80, 75 to 100 million starts to be big budget / blockbuster.
Right. Sweet. Awesome work. Can't wait to keep going. That's it for Art Fisher Podcast.
Goodbye.
Have a good one, everyone.